Ladies and gentlemen and friends beyond the binary, welcome to Step Back Tonight. This is the show where I hang out with y'all and talk about stuff and things. I'm your host, Tristan of Step Back History, and Tristan Won't Shut Up. I stream on Mondays and Tuesdays. On Mondays, I do the Monday Discourse with Mia Mulder. Lots of M's in that. I do that from 12 till 2. It's very fun. All that is Eastern time. And Tuesday nights, starting from 7 until 9. This is what you're watching right now, is Step Back Tonight, where we hang out and chill. I go by he, him pronouns, and you can find my work at stepbackhistory.com or tristanwon'tshutup.com. If you want to support my work, you can go to patreon.com/stepbackhistory and support the channel for as little as 84 cents a month. And now I can announce that there's going to be some, if you are a patron, $5 or more than 3 months, and you put your shipping address in there, you get a sticker. So if you want a Step Back sticker, that is a way to do it. You can also support my work by going to Twitch and giving a Twitch Prime subscription. If you have Amazon Prime, it's no extra money for you. And if you don't spend it, Amazon gets to keep your money. So go for it. I either, Step Back or another Twitch channel that you respect, at least just use it. At least just don't make Bezos the recipient of your money. What else do I have to talk about? I have videos in production. I'm getting close to the end of the book I'm reading for my next video. I have an interview lined up, hopefully for next week, on the video that comes after the one that I'm working on. Although I'm kind of working at them both in tandem right now. And, yeah. Very fun. What else we got here? Yes. If you want to submit a question for future streams, although we might hit it tonight. We don't have a ton of questions for tonight, so we'll see where this goes. But put a link in the chat. So if you want to put it in, do it up. And if this is your first time watching a stream, please make yourself known in the chat. Say hello. Say hi. Are Phoebe and Romeo doing anything interesting? Working anything interesting? They're very excited about the fact that it's warm enough that we can have the windows open. And Phoebe has broadened her exploration a little bit of the house. She's left my office, which is not a thing that she normally does, to explore the hallway. And right now she's sleeping on a cat bed that is not her little house that I got up here in the corner. So, have I considered doing something like an SBH plushie? I mean, I've wanted to do an SBH. I wanted to do a Tristan bobblehead, but I don't exactly know how to make those kinds of things happen. I haven't really figured out how to get the merch right. But man, I'm turning into a real life plushie, so maybe I should consider it. So that's a thing. I have very plushy-like hair, so I might as well consider it. How do I see the world in the next 150 years where all current oligarchs are dead? I see in 150 years if, 150 years, I think we're going to be in a much more dire situation than we're in right now. 150 years from now, Earth is going to be a lot less habitable. And because of the way technology and automation and scaling works, we're going to have a population of a few extremely hyper-rich people. And I don't know exactly what poor people will be like, as we have massive refugee crises and horrible floods and storms and all sorts of things like that are going to cripple our economy and our society. And I don't exactly know what the breaking point on that will be, honestly. Does my last dog look like a pig? I don't know. It looks like a dog. I don't know why you wanted me to evaluate the pig-ishness of your dog. That's a strange question. What's going on? What are we chatting about tonight? I've got Google News open. There's some stuff to get into, so we can have some chats. So we'll see what happens. I mean to ask why did you have Mexi on last week? Like, assume she's promoting something particular, but no. No, I just happened to be having a conversation with her for like positive leftist news stuff. And I just asked if she could be on the stream, if she wanted to do a stream, and she said yes. Like, I'm trying to get more guests to replace this stream because I think it's more fun if I get people who are cooler than me to answer things. And Mexi is somebody who I know I can get, so I just reached out and saw what would happen. Do you think evolution would have changed humanity in the next 150 years? I doubt it. Like, natural evolution, I very highly doubt it. If we're, like, fucking around with our genes or, doing some sort of, like, implants or something like that in the next 150 years, who knows? 150 years is a long time. That's, like, the end of the 2100s at this point, so I don't even know what that would look like. Excited about the 100% more communicable and 40% more deadly variants of the coronavirus we're subjected to here in Ontario? Yeah, Ontario's having a rough go of it. We've just had two school boards because the kids went back to school yesterday from Easter break. And next week they're taking a week off because March break got delayed till April because of the pandemic. So the Peel School Board, Mississauga's school board, said that yesterday that kids are not going back to school. So the schools are closed again in Mississauga. And they just announced that tomorrow the Toronto schools are going to be closed, which, I wish the rest of the province would follow suit. And I was even going to talk about this because they're about to open up more vaccines to people over 50 now, which is nice. My parents might be getting a vaccine soon. But the main thing is that the government's considering doing another stay-at-home order, which would be a good thing if that happened. It's too late now. Like, they should have done it weeks ago, but it's better to do it than to not do it. Have recently been reading Gerald Horne's work, The Apocalypse of Settler Colonialism and History about White Supremacy and English Settler Colonialism. Ever gonna do a video on the history of racism? Ooh. Be a big-ass video to do. Was Thought Slime the same deal? Yeah, probably. If I asked him, yeah. I believe I was probably, when I got him on a few weeks ago, is because I think we were just talking. We were just hanging out. Or we were texting, and I asked him if he wanted to do it, and he said, yeah. Know much about the Kansas-Missouri border war. I'm kind of curious about that. All I know is that it was sort of the sporadic guerrilla violence that led to the Civil War. It was sort of like fights over whether or not, I my mind is that it has something to do with bleeding Kansas, but I could be wrong on that. You think capitalism won't have reached the absolute breaking point by 2150? Like, I thought being conservative yesterday when I said 2500. I mean, you'd think so, but, if there's anything that it seems like is that the left is always predicting that capitalism is just on the brink of collapsing at any day now. And they always find some new low to get to create even more misery. So, and the working class today is so just utterly defeated that I don't exactly know what could actually kill capitalism at this point other than the extinction of the human race. I do think that humans will make it to 2150, pending we don't do something really, really dumb like a nuclear war. But, just even with climate change going the way it is, the Earth will be a lot less habitable, but we won't be dead. The thing about capitalism is that it kind of exists by constantly being in crisis and constantly changing to adapt to said crisis. In fact, capitalism sort of thrives on crisis. Because, yeah. Who knows? I'm looking forward to like the next decade when there aren't even jobs. Like as a concept, jobs are just gone and everything is just some form of like, gig economy thing. Everybody is doing some mix of Uber driving and whatever other new services decides to make gig economy out of another industry. So we'll just be all getting paid much less and having way fewer workers' rights to do a lot more work. Because capitalism always tries to find a way to get people to do more work and get less money for it. That's sort of its entire design. Wolf is saying about co-ops more radical than it appears. Marx draws a line from economic and social relations, and co-ops would be a huge social change. I mean, maybe they tried like what he talks about, like co-ops kind of were done already in like if you have a capitalist society that has like co-ops instead of like private industry or instead of like privately owned companies. That's like the kind of mixed economy that you saw in like Yugoslavia and stuff like that. And it worked fine. It caused massive unemployment and wasn't as like efficient as the Soviet command economy, really. Capitalism survived by reforming slightly, then getting bad again in the next cycle. What you're saying makes it sound like that can't happen again. There might be some changes, They might give... I do think that the way that people are talking, that basic income will probably be a thing. I don't think it'll do what people think it will do, but... and it will probably be used in a way to undermine and remove organized labor and try to destroy unions, basically by getting rid of the concept of jobs. But I do think that basic income is like as close to a capitulation to the working class that they might be able to get people to do in the next few decades. It's a very popular policy position, and it's starting to be talked about by real people who are trying to find new ways to keep capitalism on further life support. So. And trust me, however they implement basic income will be means tested and it'll be very politically fraught. And, there will always be talks about cutting it and all sorts of stuff. So don't worry about that aspect. Like, it's going to be like a weak and terrible, like nuts, like, peanuts program. But it is a thing they might use to make the masses shut up, which is really what they want. Other news. I don't know if anybody else is like this. I imagine that there is. I can't be alone in this. But I got this notebook today from the internet. And I'm using it for writing down my, like, D&D session ideas and things like that. But, man, it is so cool. It is such a good... First of all, something very addictive about the... about a new... what's it called? A new notebook. An empty notebook. And it's got the elastic to keep it shut. It's got the ribbon for a bookmark. Oh, man. We have a lot of fun with this. I did a talk about the sort of apocalyptic nature of mass automation combined with the persistence of capitalism at a talk that I gave in May of 2017. And people brought up UBI very quickly, and I warned that UBI is not like the silver bullet people make it out to be, but I have this sense that when UBI does come, it's going to come so late that it's going to be after a major economic disaster that has led a lot of people to be very poor. So I could see it happening. Do I think something like FDR's second Bill of Rights, also known as the Economic Bill of Rights, will have any chance of happening in the U.S. this decade? No. No, what's it called? People who believe in any form of economic justice are so far away from any levers of power in America that pending like an absolute destruction of the American political order, like basically like the overthrowing of the government, I can't see such changes happening within a decade. Like if you think about it, like 10 years, you're going to get what, 2031, you're going to have two presidential elections in that time. And given the way that things kind of work, there will probably be a Republican elected in one of those. You have a Democratic Party that, after the 2016 and 2020 primaries, have already started to start changing the rules committees and things like that for the next primary in order to make sure that insurgent candidate like Bernie Sanders never makes it through. The main thing they're trying to do right now is push for there to be two other states going the same time as Iowa. So the Iowa caucus would be going at the same time as the Nevada caucus and the South Carolina primary. In that way, then, because the Democratic, the right wing of the Democratic Party has such a strong hold on South Carolina that it would essentially tip the scales pretty heavily in favor of whoever the party has already chosen to be the leader, and this is just a fig leaf, very early on, so that there's no chance that whatever like emaciated corpse they think to run for, like, I don't know, if they try to run the corpse of Charles C. Calhoun and say that or John C. Calhoun, and they try to say that you're racist for not supporting him, when they run him in like 2028 or whatever, then they have basically complete control over the process. So don't be expecting anything nice coming from the United States anytime soon. The left had its chance. There's a reason why Bernie was considered a once-in-a-century candidate, and America blew it. So the confluence of factors leading to another Bernie Sanders-like candidate to have a chance of being president probably won't happen for a very long time. I love playing Lords of Waterdeep from D&D. Absolutely a blast to play it, but I haven't done an actual campaign in so long. I DM 2 campaigns at the moment, so I'm always trying to, and I'm trying very hard to turn this hobby into not a thing that I do for money, but a thing that is like my main creative outlet. So I spend a lot of time with my D&D stuff because I like doing it. It's a very artistically fulfilling thing for me right now. How is capital going to deal with the fact that they're disincentivizing breeding, or can the anti-abortion argument be understood as a means to stop poor people from making the rational choice to not have kids? I mean, I don't know how they're going to deal with the population implosion that's happening. Neoliberalism is sort of addressing that by just simply globalizing the labor force. So if you don't have a working, like a labor force in your country that you can get to do dangerous, dirty, and undesirable work, then you just export it to other countries that haven't yet gotten to post-industrial capitalism. It used to be in China, but now it's been mostly exported to like Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. And once those get tapped out, because there's gonna be like a big population explosion in like Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire and the DRC in the next few years, especially if we make some big progress on malaria. So you're just going, like, what's it called? It's going to be more and more free trade agreements and things like that. That's going to be the way that they deal with it. In the longer term, I don't know. I imagine that they're going to hope that they can like robotize the entire economy so that they don't actually need workers anymore. Then they can just let us die. There still is a chance for a Bernie-like candidate to take AOC, for example. Maybe. America is not doing, like, what's it called? Leftists on Twitter or anything to go by. AOC is already on thin ice because she is about as ideologically pure as Bernie Sanders is, but has the audacity of being a woman of color. So she gets judged harsher by internet leftists more because yeah. Yeah, Nigeria is supposed to be like Nigeria might end up having 1 billion people in it or something like that in the next few decades. Like, Nigeria's population's exploding right now, and West Africa is having like a major. West Africa is basically coming online in a big way, and so a lot of West African countries are having huge population explosions. It's one of the reasons why learning French might not be a bad idea in the future, because a lot of those West African countries speak French as their main language. And so, having French skills might not be the worst idea for the economy of the future. Oh boy. So the other night, the Lib streamer told me they didn't understand the difference between libertarianism and neoliberalism. Told them neoliberals are willing to use the government to help the market, but libertarians aren't. When they still didn't get, I said this. In the 1980s, the Thatcher regime started using local UK governments can't just take tax money, then hire people to maintain infrastructure. Instead, they had to let private companies bid for contracts to do that work. That's an example of a policy that's neoliberal but not libertarian. Libertarian would be like, well, you're paying for it with a tax either way, so who cares? Whereas neoliberal is like, getting market forces into local government, awesome. Is that a good illustration of the difference? Sure. I mean, libertarians aren't real. Libertarians are basically fascists who are marketing their... It's basically America's version of fascism. It is trying to take... trying to use... like kind of American pro-capitalist rhetoric to promote essentially fascism, especially when you see like their calls to like bring back voluntary slavery and weird preoccupation with age of consent laws. Alexandria might stand a chance. I hope so. I hope that, in like 3 or 4 years when she becomes of age to run for president, that she might be able to do it. But I don't know. I don't really see... I think that 2016 and 2020 were the best shots that America had, and I think they showed pretty solidly that the left basically has no place in the Democratic Party, and that there really isn't a future for left-wing politics in the United States through electoralism. And I don't exactly know what the way forward is after that, because it's obvious the Democratic Party is a far-right, anti-left organization that pulled out every single stop possible to make sure that the left had no say in the process of how the Democratic Party managed itself. And so the left's going to have to find a way to enter into politics and make desired changes and reforms that don't involve getting leftists elected, because they're already doing like heavy work to make sure that never happens again. Especially when it comes to like leadership positions. Having a few socialists to make socialists shut up by having them in like low rank position in the party that nobody ever listens to and doesn't affect any policy, like that's fine. That the party can deal with. But like having a like left-wing presidential candidate, like they are going balls fucking deep to make sure that never happens. What is the libertarian obsession with cryptocurrencies? It's sort of the same thing that made them obsessed with gold. Is that they want a source of money that doesn't derive its value from the government because they don't like the idea of fiat currency. And like hoarding gold, it's a terrible idea. And that, like, without governments holding up money is just it's just gold is just shiny rocks, or and money and bitcoins are just numbers in a computer. Like, there's not a lot of real libertarians anymore after the Donald Trump election. They all went like straight to the alt-right. Will making conservative states go first really work in the long run? I mean, eventually most Democrats, even in Nevada, will be millennials. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I guess we can't undermine the fact that, like, millennials also propped up right-wing candidates like Elizabeth Warren, who existed essentially to absorb left-wing energy. With what's it called, staffers who have enough of a historical understanding of class relations in she had a staff that was wise enough to class relations that they got Holocaust tattoos and didn't even notice. Like, is that sustainable? Can a society so skewed to the right keep itself together? Would pressure of fracturing offer potential for change without relying on accelerationism? I don't know if it's sustainable. It's sustainable because America's got, like, they can fire missiles from remote controlled airplanes. They got, like, soldiers and nukes and Hellfire missiles and a police force that has armored personnel carriers. Like, yeah, what's it called? America could, like, thoroughly occupy its own country, and it probably will in the not too distant future for various reasons. So, like, yeah, they'll just transition, as they've been doing in the long term, transition their military or their police force into an occupying military force, and that'll keep the pores in line. Can a society? I was told today on Guard for Thee that bootlicker is an insult. What about the "it can happen here" future? I mean, I think that Robert Evans thinks that. I think Robert Evans, under the because of his experiences in Ukraine and the Middle East, I think he's under the impression that Americans have more backbone than they actually do, and that if the government, like, look how many people who would have been part of this movement, the second that like they tried the Capitol insurrection, it got shut down after one day, and the far right just sort of like started scrambling. The far left, as soon as their electoralism chances disappeared, just started infighting on Twitter about stupid shit. So, like, I don't know. I don't see, like, a mega Occupy 2.0 happening. I don't see, like, the state of Jefferson, or like a bunch of, like, militia yahoos declaring independence and that actually causing issues for the state anymore. Like, I don't know. I think that he underestimates how willing the working class is to fight back anymore. Just been so thoroughly propagandized and defeated that this is like, what are they going to do? You gotta have you have to have like a generation of people who are willing to fucking die for their cause, and like they couldn't even get a critical amount of people to come out and stand in line for, admittedly, a long period of time, but like couldn't even get people to put their careers on the line, let alone like, fight the revolution against the bourgeoisie or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think that the U.S. has just been, and like most Western countries, have just been so thoroughly defeated that it's fairly unlikely that there's going to be like that there's going to be the sort of changes that people want. And capitalism has access to enough coercive force through violence and starving people to death by unemployment. And they have enough that they can just kind of force people to shut up. What I think of Andrew Yang? Andrew Yang is a weird, like, he's not going to do anything especially interesting. Andrew Yang is going to be mayor of New York after this election, probably. And he's going to, like, do something silly like he's going to give, like, everybody in New York super hyper-fast fiber optic internet, but, like, privatize the water system so that, like, it's, like, full of lead and people start dying of, like I don't know, like, poison or something. They just get, like, mercury is in the water, but everyone's got fiber optic internet. That's going to end up being what Andrew Yang does to New York. Will it change if people stop being comfortable? I don't know. I don't know how bad things have to get before people actually do something, is the thing. How does having this bleak view of the future affect the choices you make? I don't know. My hope is that I'd be able to make my life making some sort of, like, I'm hoping that this is just me being pessimistic and that I'm wrong, and that I can. I'm hoping that I can at least make my life dedicated. I mean, I'm already on here trying to do something to to steer this boat, this unsteerable boat. So I guess I'm just gonna keep trying until the very last minute to do something. I guess those are my choices. Like, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could, like, make the choices in life that, like, the choices that I would make, like the choices I made in life. Like, I don't think I could do, like, a job where I just ship units for FedEx. You know, I would. Well, I'm not that that's a bad thing to do. It's just like it's like I need to channel my attempt to do something about the seriously shitty situation of the world through my daily life. What if you steered this vote in the Suez Canal? Oh man, it's good stuff. What's with all the doomer vibes tonight? I don't know. I guess it's like the fact that like you're watching like this is the same way I got when Obama got elected and nothing happened. Like, I'm watching the exact same thing happen. The story today that showed that Joe Biden is restarting construction on on Trump's border wall, and that he has maintained the system of concentration camps for children. That he is that nothing is changing, and yet everybody who just treated Trump like he was an existential threat to the republic have just completely gone silent and are defending Biden in every horrible thing he does. And I just don't get it. I just I mean, I get it, but it just to me feels like a lot of the energy that Bernie had for being a last alliance to try and turn this thing around, and just the fact that things are just just utterly failed, and nothing the left won literally nothing from the 2020 election. And now seeing the United Kingdom dumping their leader and putting in this extremely conservative leader of the Labour Party, having the NDP getting really pissed off at Nikki Ashton for talking to Jeremy Corbyn. All those things together is just fuck, man. What solution to the camps on the border do you think is better to deal with the children that are already incarcerated there? How do you house them in the short term? I mean, because there's a pandemic, there's a shit ton of hotels that are completely empty. That'd be a good place. Put them in there. Maybe not having child prisons is just a good thing. Maybe, or if you want to have the really good, the broke solution is put children in concentration camps and then go on to Step Back History's YouTube stream and write a question like, what solution do you have for the kids on the border? The woke solution is put them in all the fucking empty hotels because of the, what's it called? Put them in all the hotels because of the pandemic. And then the woke solution, or the bespoke solution, I guess the answer is realize that maybe we should evolve past the insistence that we stick to these arbitrary lines in the ground where we say this is where people were. Like, if you're not allowed to cross these lines, these arbitrary borders between countries are literal violence put upon people by settler colonial powers, and maybe they should be dismantled and moved towards a society that doesn't think that somebody committed a crime by being on the wrong side of some invisible line on the ground that was drawn in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in the 1800s. Like, maybe we should think of a better way to deal with that shit. Remember the motto, what would Emma Goldman do? Yeah, Emma Goldman would have fun and fuck a bunch of people and then keep fighting. Because, I guess, the way that I would think about how I do things is, things look pretty bleak right now, but also things have looked bleaker. And we 100% won't make anything better by keeping... we won't make anything better by just giving up, so we kind of have to keep going. Do you think you'll be able to die of old age before things get bad enough or make your life unpleasant? I ask myself that a lot. I think so. I'm getting to the age where I'm now, obviously too unfit, but also too old to really be even considered for war or whatever. So I think that things will suck when I'm old. I think my life is going to be pretty shitty when I'm old, but for now things are okay. So I guess I'll just enjoy it while I have it. What is realistically politically viable in the actual USA right now? I mean, I think the empty hotels thing is a pretty good answer. What do I think about the new Voting Rights Act? You talking about the thing in Georgia? It's terrible. It's Jim Crow 2.0. And I would rather what's it called? It's Jim Crow 2.0, and I don't have much else to say except it's terrible. It's one of the greatest acts of voting suppression on people of color since before, the civil rights movement. Do you think Trump-type alt-right people would... What do you think Trump-type alt-right people would do if you reformed the U.S. democracy so they couldn't win elections anymore? Earlier today, I was watching a lefty stream where he said, yeah, election reform is good, but what if they actually do a successful coup because they can't win elections anymore? I mean... Again, with the militarized police and everything like that, even the I don't know if the far right, if they were unable to get themselves into the annals of power, and my thinking is that the Republicans also learned their lesson from the Trump administration, and they're going to make it extremely hard for another Donald Trump to try and run for president again. So everybody outside of the sort of small group of people who run the Republican and Democratic parties are pretty much locked out of any actual political power. And they'll go back to doing what they always do, which is sounding like badasses on the internet and getting kicked off of platforms. The new Voting Rights Act in the Senate, the one we need to shame Joe Manchin into supporting, I have to read it. This is why we watch positive leftist news. Yeah, I know. I need what's it called? I need a new one. Mexi's got to make a new one. I edit. I don't know if you know this, Garrett, but I'm the editor of Positive Leftist News, so I need to watch them more, I think. What do you think of France's ban on the hijab after 18 years old? It's a terrible violation of the religious rights of people in France. I don't know. If you don't know me long, you must not know me that long if you don't know that that's like my position. Like, what's it called? Hijab is a symbol of cultural and national and religious identity, and they're basically saying, if you're a woman who believes that they wish to wear a hijab, like that their religious beliefs say that they must wear a hijab in public, and you're saying they can't wear one, they're not going to go out in public. So, like, congrats. It requires nonpartisan committees to draw districts. That'd be pretty good. I have to read the. Weirdly enough, I haven't been following the news all that much lately. I've been working on my latest video, which is kind of old. So I've been living in like 100 years ago world. I've been living in 1915 for the last few weeks, and so yeah. Am I a leftist? Yeah. I am a anarcho-communist. I am a anarchist, communist, Antifa super soldier, or whatever. Hijab ban's a big conservative talking point in Europe, sadly. It is here, too, in Quebec. What's it called? When I was working for the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, one of the cases that came up was fighting Quebec on its hijab ban for public servants. Any chance of capitalists realizing they need to do a New Deal? Maybe. I think that the New Deal is not going to be anything beyond, like, UBI. Like, I honestly do think that UBI is a thing that, like, TBH would make some people's lives a little bit better, although it'd probably have a lot of negative side effects. I think that it would be that is the thing that, you know, that's the ripcord that I think a lot of capitalist countries will pull when things get to a sort of, when the contradictions of capitalism reach another boiling point. Bro, you're the size of the sun. The only way you could defeat Nazis is by sitting on them. Very funny. Man. Getting some A+ comedy here in the chat tonight. I'm worried for the women that are not allowed to go outside without one, and their domestic situations, they do that. Yeah, and I mean, also, it's just them saying, again, that that people who... It's basically them saying that Muslims and especially people from the Middle East just don't belong outside, or don't belong in France. It's them essentially stating that they only believe in white markers of identity, and so... Will UBI make things feel less shitty for a while? Depends upon... I'm cringe. Ooh. Fucking badass over here. Will UBI make things feel less shitty for a while? Maybe. It really depends upon the policy and how it's put out. Like, what's it called? Like, UBI that comes out that doesn't also come with something like rent control, for example, will just get kind of absorbed into, it'll just be like what's it called? There's already like letters from landlords in the US that were trying to tell their tenants to prepay their rent with their stimulus checks. If you don't think that, like, if you got a $1,000 a month universal basic income, that it wouldn't be met with a $1,000 increase in rent by your landlord, I don't know, like, what else to say. it would need to come with like some stipulations for things like that. You know, it would have to come with like the money can't be used for rent and those kinds of things. Oh man. Guys, don't waste your energy on Bog Fat Dog. He just wants attention. What's the point in passing it if they're not going to put other controls in? Because it would make it good theater. It would be another way to take tax money from poor people and give it to rich people if they did not. If it doesn't include a landlord protection, it would be a really expert piece of legislation, because what it would do is it would take $1,000 a month that's taxed from everybody, but because in, like, say, America or a lot of right-wing countries like, you know, Canada, the UK, a lot of Europe, it would take a tax burden that's typically already way unfairly heavy on poor people, and then bring it into the system and then redistribute it in a way that all of it would be appropriated by like landlords and reintroduce itself back to the top. So it's a way of like taking more low income money and funneling it to rich people. If you don't put like, you know, price controls and stuff on it. I don't take shit from trolls and they insult you. It makes me angry. I get it. But, you know, it's life. If I didn't want people pointing out that I am not a pretty looking person on the internet, I wouldn't have gotten into streaming and making YouTube videos. So, you know, it's life. Plus, like, when you look like me, like, it's just like shit that you've been, it's just like, what's it called? It's just like background noise. Like, I've been having people make fun of me for the way I look since I was like a child, so, like, whatever. You'd have to pull some like really, really good material if you want to get under my skin with attacks on my physical appearance. Let's just say that. My hair is acquiring a life of its own. We need to talk about it. Yeah, it's true. My hair has sort of breached containment at this point. I obviously, because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to get a haircut, but my hair grows really thick and really curly and really big. And honestly, with like my hair kind of also disappearing because of, you know, this, you know, male pattern baldness, that at some point it's going to be gone. And so I'm thinking that I might just enjoy, like, you know, I might just enjoy seeing how far it goes, you know? Either that or I'm just going to snap one day and go to the, like someday when I'm vaccinated and we all can actually go outside and do things, which, you know, in Canada's like, you know, next year maybe, I don't know. That I'll just snap one day and go get myself a haircut, and but I kind of want to hang on to it because I think that the way that it's sort of like curling is that the way that my hair's curling, it's sort of making me think that it's going to make me look like well, what's that guy? The guy from Lost, Hurley. Or the guy who's like the lead singer for Coheed and Cambria. Like, I think it's gonna, like, if I grow it out like till it's like this long, like, I think it's gonna start going into curls and stuff like that, and I think that might be a look. I don't know. Get the Tacoma Wept look, make a man bun out of it, be kind of hilarious. I do have like what's it called? I have dreams. I in the latest Tristan Won't Shut Up video, I made a video. I made a sort of like a joke parody of Vosh that I might need to grow my hair long enough to make a man bun for future ones. California is trying to open on June 15th. I mean, that's not, given how fast America's vaccinating, that's actually not unreasonable. Canada is in a much more dire situation, though, when it comes to the vaccination rates. We're going very slow, so it's probably going to be closer to like next year by the time we can actually do stuff. What do you think it'll be like? What do you think it'll be like? Okay. What do you think it'll be like being too old and or disabled in the capitalist future? Probably much like it's like now, probably making very little money and being miserable because you have a society that doesn't treat you very well. You just do what I do and never cut it at all. It'll come to life. Yeah, I do. I've never had hair long enough that I could like tie it or something like that in any. I've never needed a legitimate use of hair elastics. And so like one of my goals for like this haircut, this like pandemic hair and growing out session is that I kind of want to grow my hair long enough that I can like see like what tying it, like actually needing to tie my hair back is like, which I know is kind of a weird thing to say, but I've never had to do it. So I kind of want to. Except that, like, you know, I have ADHD, so I keep wanting to play with it. How does capitalism keep going if the proletariat can't buy stuff? Good question. I think if you get to the point where the proletariat can't buy stuff, like if you actually get to that breaking point, you end up in political instability where emergencies happen and they have to put in some sort of patch in place to keep it going. This is sort of how it is. So, you know, there will be crises, and they'll be met with emergency stuff thrown in to handle said crises, and then go back to, you know, tilting back towards crises. I don't actually want a man bun, by the way. It's not a look I want to go for. Not that I mean, you can like have whatever you want. It's just, I would want to make a man bun just to make fun of Vosh for a video. What's the future of the NDP and leftism in Canada? Is there going to be electoral reform? I mean, we're pretty far from electoral reform with the only party really supporting it being in a distant third position in federal parliament. So, something makes me think we're not going to see it for quite a while. Unless, like, the NDP, like, pulls a rabbit out of the hat and actually wins an election. But that's never happened, so relying on a thing that will never happen is, or that has never happened is, you know... Alright, what do we got next? The other day I was imagining a sci-fi story where we discover a portal to an alternate Earth. Thanks to an asteroid winter wiping out the northern barbarians, 266. I already answered this one a long time ago. Suppose the analytical engine was actually built. I already answered that one. So I just realized all the male protagonists in Roman historical novels I read are cishet. Is it bad to do that if you're writing stories set in fucking ancient Greece and Rome? I mean, it's still, yeah, it's still like it's not like non-cis and non-heterosexual people didn't exist in ancient Greece and Rome. In fact, to have no like, you know, no gay characters in ancient Rome or Greece is extremely ahistorical. What is your bias in the Mighty Nine? What is my bias? I don't know what you mean by what my bias is. Yeah, please, because trust me, I have many things to say about the Mighty Nine, but I want to know what your question is so I can answer it properly. Fandom term means your favorite one? Oh, okay. Oh, it's most definitely it's Jester. Like Jester, frickin' like Laura Bailey is fucking carrying that show right now. What's the Mighty Nine? It's the D&D party of Critical Role, which is the show that I'm wearing the shirt of. So that's why they asked. But yeah, Campaign 1, I was a really big fan of Scanlan and Grog, and now I'm all about Jester. She fucking rules. And maybe Henry Crabgrass. I don't know. I'm right now at the point I haven't caught up with the show. I'm binge watching it actually right now. So I'm like I'm in like the I don't even know what they're doing today, but I'm at the part of the show where they're chasing after somebody in the Arctic. I don't want to give anybody any spoilers, so they're chasing after a dude in the Arctic. So, are you working on any D&D characters, or do you only DM? I play as a player in a game every Friday. It's been going on for probably close to 2 years at this point. We're just about to finish. Like this Friday might be the last session of the campaign. Like that's how close we are to the end, and we're like all 20th level and stuff like that. I played a druid, like a fungus druid, all the way up until a couple weeks ago when I retired the character because of story reasons and stuff. And now I'm playing a fighter just for like the last couple sessions. But once the campaign ends, I don't know what's next. I don't know if I'll be playing. I don't know when I'll be playing another player anytime soon. Circle of Spores Druid, they're fun. They are fun. They have issues at high levels, though, because they're very much supposed to be like a melee druid, and at high levels, melee druids don't do super great. You have to, like, take certain feats for it to work right. You have to, like, take You have to take a feat. You have to take, like, what was it called? Initiate magic user, or magic using mage initiate, or something like that. You need to, like, get that... you have to get that feat, and you have to take like Green Flame Blade or Booming Blade or those kinds of spells, so that on top of that, with your like Shillelagh and this sort of 1d6 poison damage that you get with your the sort of mushroom druid ability that you can do a whole bunch of damage in the one attack you get. Just want to say you're awesome and do the most pertinent, well-done stories. Well, thank you. I work very hard on my storytelling, so I thank you. Did you kill Thought Slime or did he kill you? I killed him. He's not in the game room player. Or, yeah, he runs a game that we play like once a month, but I haven't died. But I have killed his character, yes. To be fair, his character was a vampire and did a heel turn, so it was sort of expected. What was going to happen is that his character was going to run away, and then he was going to play another character, and we were going to do a whole adventure about them chasing him down. But then the chase scene didn't go very far, because the party has like all sorts of stuff to chase people down. So they managed to just catch him pretty soon and kill him, and he just died. And now they're on a big mission to go to hell and find his soul and bring it back and save him. So in the long term, I think he'll be fine. Your D&D group kicked you out because you were trans? Jeez. Those are not people you'd want to play with, though. D&D's become, like, the hobby's become a much more open and accepting hobby, so hopefully once the pandemic's over, you'll be able to find a group that aren't pieces of shit, so... Yeah, they're going to... Right now, on the game that Thought Slime's in, they are currently in the afterlife trying to find their way to hell so that they can go down to the 6th layer of hell to save Matt's character, who is currently like a like little gooey like lemur thing that is being kept in a cage by an archdevil, and there's all sorts of stuff like that. Have you played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Kingdom Come Deliverance? I have played Breath of the Wild. I played a little bit. I got to a certain point that I stopped playing because it was too hard, and that I haven't picked it up since, but I will someday. Have I played Divinity Original Sin 2? Yes. I haven't beaten it. I probably didn't play I played it a fair bit, but it's a game that I got to a certain point with and then stopped, and I'll probably pick it up again later. I'm very slow when it comes to playing video games that you can't play like with something else. Like I will play a lot. I'm like desperately looking for any video game to play that I can play while listening to something, like while listening to podcasts or watching movies or something like that. But if it's a game where like it has its own story and you have to like have the sound on and pay attention, it'll take me forever to play those because I never get around to playing them. Can you hate on Divinity Original Sin for a bit, please? I didn't play it enough to have an opinion on it. I'm probably going to play it again sometime. I thought it was pretty good. And it's gonna be much slower because I'm currently I'm in a kind of space where the video, like I'm kind of in the space right now where I'm trying to spend less time on the computer. So I have been on the computer a lot less recently, which takes away from computer time or gaming time. You want D&D campaign, there's a movement of anti-magic, and they use flail snails as tools to capture magic users. That's pretty cool. That's like, what's it called? If you want inspiration, Jordan, you should rewatch, or watch, if you haven't watched it, Season 1 of Korra, The Legend of Korra. Because there's sort of like an anti-magic movement in Season 1 of The Legend of Korra. It's got some missteps. Like I think it unfairly makes like a link between people who have people who are against income inequality and people who who are like violent and stuff like that. But yeah. You want to something surprising? Harry Turtledove is the only historical writer who bothered to make his Roman main character bi. That is weird. Then again, like Roman history tends to be like the field of like alt-right weirdos, people who are kind of obsessed with like European identity and like all that kind of shit. So like Romanists are like filled with like white supremacists and stuff like that. So, or at least people who are like, hobbyists who write historical fiction. Grinding in WoW is a lot better with a podcast in the background. I agree. I stopped playing that game a while back because I'm like, I just can't bring myself to pay $18 a month for anything, for a game like that. But I'm always tempted to give it another shot, but then I realize like, it's not what I wanted it to be. It's not what I want it to be anymore. How's the Valheim swamp going? Oh boy, you don't even want to know. You don't even want to know. I haven't played Valheim in a few weeks. is the answer. I'm kind of waiting for Thought Slime to get to the swamp part of the game so we can play together, because I think from what I picked up from asking around on Twitter and stuff is that basically the swamps are not very easy and very unfun to play if you're playing solo. And the only person who is like the only friend of mine I have who's playing Valheim is Matt, and Matt is much further behind. He's still like, I think he's still doing stuff in the Black Forest. So as soon as he gets to post what's it called, the big tree monster, then maybe I'll play it again with him. Is 5th edition your favorite edition? I've almost only played D&D 5th edition. I only ever played one like weekend long session of 4th edition when I was in undergrad. We did like a kind of like weekend where we went and played D&D for like the whole weekend. And we played 4th edition. I didn't have an issue with it, but I didn't play it very much, and I wasn't very good, and I didn't take it very seriously, and there was a lot of players. And we had rules where you could do a shot to re-roll any rolls. So it wasn't like I wasn't like really playing it. So I really only 5th edition's really all I know. But like from what I've read about like 3.5, I feel like I like 5 a lot more than that. 3.5 seems like it was just too much, you know? I like my I actually like if I'm like exploring outside of D&D, I'm more getting interested into like more rules light, story focused games rather than like more crunchy rule stuff. Like I don't see any interest in playing Pathfinder or 3.5 or those kinds of games. I'm more interested in like Powered by the Apocalypse type stuff. I asked you if you want to go into suspended animation until a socialist future, and you said no because you have a lot of social connections in the here and now. Is there a point where things would be shady enough for you to say yes? I mean, if everybody I knew was dead and I had, like, no career and my life was just completely fucked, then yeah, I'd be like, all right, I'll wait this out. Been reading the Ironsworn book. I'm very interested now. Yeah, I've got Rogermand, just want to let you know, like, I have the reference book for Ironsworn sitting on my desk right here in front of me, and I have I went a little crazy with Ironsworn. I have in my desk here, I have the Delve books, which have the sort of the domains and themes of Ironsworn Delve. I have the asset cards. I have all the asset cards, the whole deck. And if you're to look, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I think the arm of the microphone's in the way. But if you're to look back in that corner, I have printed copies of Ironsworn and Ironsworn Delve on the page there. And I have bought all of those since February. So, yeah. You printed them out or you bought them somewhere? I actually bought them off of DriveThruRPG. I did the I did the math and I found that it was actually cheaper to just buy it off of the website that like they want you to, rather than to like print the entire book at Office Depot. What if things are super fucked, but everyone in your D&D group's still alive? Oh boy. Well, my D&D group is like my friends, so at least I'd have somebody. The thing about Ironsworn is that it is a tabletop role playing game that you can play by yourself, and so it is a thing that I want to do at some point in the future. But I've used it a lot to make my DMing better. At some point, I'll run a game or I'll play a campaign out of my own creation. But in the meantime, I really got into it because of Trevor Duvall and Me, Myself, and Die, which is sort of this pretty small actual play YouTube channel where it's somebody playing Ironsworn solo who's a voice actor, and it's very good. It's the apocalypse. Your party is the last people you played D&D with. How fucked are you? Not bad. One of the guys in my group is, like, what's it called? That group would have several academics, but some of them have some outdoorsy skills and stuff like that. And I have my prepper box, so I just got a fancy Tesla lighter for my prepper box. The last time I played D&D was on Sunday, and it was with a group that we put together during quarantine of a bunch of Kelly's friends. So it's Kelly and a bunch of her friends, but now two of those friends, since we started the game, have turned into our neighbors because now we've moved back to London, and so they're people that we know here. And yeah. If I played Rime of the Frosthaven, no, I haven't. Is that the? I haven't played any of the pre-packaged Rime of the Frostmaiden. I haven't played any of the WotC released adventures. I very rarely get to play D&D myself as a player. The only thing I've done that's been out of the book is I have run one session of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and that's it. Is the prepper box the Japanese candy? Oh boy, I've got a new one of those that I have to film my opening of. They sent me the Sakura box for what's it called, cherry blossom season. So I gotta what's it called? I gotta go and I can't touch any of the snacks until I do the unboxing video. So I gotta go do the unboxing video and then I can eat them. So they're just kind of sitting on a bookshelf in my living room. But the solo RPG show, the game is called Ironsworn. The channel I was talking about is called Me, Myself, and Die. I'm getting increasingly nervous as my DM debut approaches. Maybe I made a mistake. No. DMing is one of those things that you're going to be nervous the first time you do it. It's like one of those things that you really that the way that it works is that you get better at it with more experience. You just have to do it a whole lot to really get comfortable with it. And the main reason, kind of like with acting, is that the way to get better at it is to just is to get over yourself and just learn to be comfortable with the situation. I also want to, I just remember forgot. J-Lord, thank you for the 2 super chats. Thank you for the new $5 super chat. Have you played the Elder Scrolls games? How bad was the Ottoman slave trade in Eastern Slavic Eastern Europeans? I've played Skyrim quite a bit, at least back in 2011 when it first came out. I played a tiny bit of Morrowind on my friend's Xbox when I was in high school. So there's that. How bad was the Ottoman slave trade in Slavic Eastern Europeans? That I don't know. I am not an expert on the Ottoman slave trade, to be honest. I only know a vague amount about the millet system, which was sort of the way that they managed different religious communities that were not Muslim in the Ottoman Empire. But I can't speak too much about what was going on in the Balkans. I'm reading right now like the first book I've ever read on real Ottoman history, and the only thing I'm reading about is the Armenian genocide. So it's very focused on Eastern Anatolia as its like topic. Could VR tech be used to make people more willing to put up with capitalist exploitation? Like, what if we could replace sleep with spending time in a virtual paradise? I mean, possibly. Wasn't there like an article that came out not long ago about rich people who were like fantasizing about creating, about using, like, we need to put a lot of money in making virtual reality better so that people will tolerate inequality more. And it was like, what the fuck? The Ottoman Empire is very fascinating to me. Me too. Especially after like reading this book, like I was already interested in the Ottoman Empire as sort of like an interesting historical country. I did not know a whole lot, and so I'm very excited to learn more about it now that I've like seen a little bit about it. Wish Bethesda would make good games again. The new Doom games do not count. They are from id. Bethesda's just the publisher. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would like it if people made good video games too. What's going on? So, Ontario cabinet's considering issuing a stay-at-home order. That's not surprising. There's the Chauvin trial that's going on, where basically now it's seeming that the police are throwing him under the bus, which is good. Fuck that guy. Do you think VR will eventually get to the brain plug stage? Possibly, but I don't think it's going to be very soon, to be honest. I don't think... I don't anticipate that like the brain, like that kind of brain plug AI is going to happen soon, because I think that our knowledge of how the brain processes sensory information is still fairly rudimentary, and I think we're pretty far from being able to create those kinds of experiences. Like this is why I also think that like memory uploading and like our understanding of the brain is much less solid than we like to think it is. And doing these kinds of things is not likely to be happening in the, not likely to, it's going to take a lot longer than people think it is. Have I considered making a Tristan Won't Shut Up on the new EU4 update? They're reworking how indigenous nations in North America work. I did not know that. I didn't know they were doing a. I didn't know that I know that there was a new expansion, but I haven't played EU4 in years, so I don't actually know what's been going on in the game. But be interested to find out what they did with indigenous cultures. What was the name of the article also of Vote VR so people accept? I gotta find that. Let me see if I can find the article. I read it like randomly a while back. I don't have it on me right now. Sorry. Time to talk about the worrying escalation of CRISPR eugenics. Oh boy. With Vicky 3? They haven't announced that, have they? We're not there yet, are we? If Victoria 3 gets announced this year, I'd be very happy. I would like to see that game happen. I'm weaning myself off YouTube. You're helping. Oh, that's good. When full immersion VR does become possible, will people think it's too dangerous to use? I don't know. I have a feeling that it's going to be very far in the future when that is the case. I have the feeling that what's it called? We're gonna invent something like the holodeck before we invent something like a full immersion VR. Can you consider streaming the new Stellaris expansion? Ooh, yeah, that comes out next week, doesn't it? I know I pre-ordered it, so I'm definitely going to play it. Thing is that every time I do streaming of video games, no one comes out to play it, is the thing. What's up, y'all? You got auto-played here. Sweet. Is Victoria 3 confirmed? I don't think so. I feel like Victoria 3 is a meme now, isn't it? I do know that the Martin Anward or whatever has been working on a secret project now at Paradox for a couple years. Ever since he left Stellaris about maybe like 2 years ago in its development. So he's probably working on something. Hey, Thoughts Live, thank you so much for the subscriptions.
16 eyeball.
Thank you for the eyeballs. Yeah, so I know that Paradox is working on something that hasn't been announced yet, but I don't know what it would be. Some people are saying it might be Europa Universalis 5, but given that they're still making expansions for it and they just announced like a subscription service, my guess is that that's not going to be what it is. Stellaris 2, possibly. I'm looking at an article here that's from PC Games, and it says Victoria 3 will be announced in May, maybe. So yeah, because they do have PDXCon in May. How would a real-life holodeck deal with perspective and solidity problems? Good question. I don't know. But I have a feeling that we'll probably, like, if it was, like, okay, like, full immersion VR, like, okay. Full immersion VR of, like, putting, like, a suit on that has full haptic sensor feedback and stuff like that. I think that is a more likely technology to happen in the near term than, like, you know, the Matrix, for example. Like, I don't think the Matrix is a thing that we're going to have anytime soon. While, like, haptic feedback suits and stuff like that, I think that are, like, you know, indistinguishable from real life could be possible in not too far from here. What software do I use for video editing? I use Adobe Premiere. I actually pay the stupid amount of money to buy the suite. The persistent rumor with Victoria is that no one wants to take responsibility for the project. I wouldn't be surprised. The devs barely understand the pop system as is and certainly don't want to hang their career on rebuilding it. Yeah, I've heard that, but that also feels like that feels apocryphal. You know, it's one of those things that feels like it's too just so to be true. Haptic feedback suits are very far in the future and also will probably be very heavy and uncomfortable. I mean, neither of them are going to be, like, soon, but I do think that it's closer than, like, the, like, direct brain interface stuff that people think is going to happen. Makes no sense to do Stellaris 2 or EU5. Yeah. I mean, it could, like, Victoria 3 could be it. It's the thing that makes the most sense. But then again, the PDXCon, when they announced Crusader Kings 3, I also believed that that was going to be Victoria 3. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to be, like, you know, I'll be March of Eagles 2. Oh boy. Did anybody play March of Eagles? The other thing too is that they might pull the ripcord and try to make a sequel to the fuck was the name of that game? What was they did like? What's the Paradox game that no one plays? The one that takes place in Rome. Imperator. Maybe they'll do Imperator 2 because they know that Imperator is kind of just dead on arrival and they need to make a new one. It's mentioned that more primitive societies do VR by putting you in a bath of gel for sensory deprivation and cover your body in tech that can trick your senses. Think that's possible in the not distant future? I mean, I don't know. From the people who I know who are in VR, I think that we're getting close to like that technology is still a little ways away. Like I don't think any of these are going to be soon. I think VR we're still not close to something that we want. Imperator got a big update. Why was it dead on arrival? Because when Europa Universalis 4 came out, there was a lot of complaints about mana and about how because of like the way that like storing up diplomacy points to make diplomacy things happen just didn't feel like you were doing much strategy, you know? It was more like a kind of weird resource management type game. And so apparently the resource like the what's it called? The joke with Imperator was that it released with even more mana systems, and so it didn't really have that much of like a it didn't really feel like it was all that strategic. It was just sort of like a bland game that didn't really bring anything new to the table in a big way. I don't know. I never bought it, so I can't really say too much about it. You know, I notoriously like give zero shits about like the classical age, so I don't know what it's about. And the whole thing about CK4 was just a joke. It was all a joke because the joke is that Paradox will announce any new game except for Victoria 3 because that's the game that a bunch of people want, but they'll just never make it. Which, like, you know, Victoria 2 was like my first Paradox game that I really, really got into. Victoria 2 was the game where I finished. Let's see. Victoria 2 was the game where I finished an entire playthrough as the independent state of Quebec. By the way, April, thank you so much for the super chat. Take my fake money. Step back is cool. The stock market is a monopoly. TM just joined in. Well, thank you, April. Thank you. I agree. Have you ever played any of the Total War games? Yes, but when I was young. I played Shogun Total War when I was like maybe in like 8th or 9th grade. So I played that and I beat the game I think like once. So I played that. I was always auto resolving combats because I actually didn't really like the RTS part of Total War. And even today, when I see like people playing Total War games, I'm always just like, man, the RTS part of this game really doesn't look that fun to me. So I'd probably like, I don't think it's a series for me. Why do people buy into the shitty versions of VR we have right now? I feel like it's purely that sci-fi has told us a headset to play a video game is futuristic. I mean, no, I think there are, like, what's it called? VR is in a state where people are having legit fun with their VR sets. Like, I don't know if ThoughtSlime's still in the chat, but he has a VR set, and he loves it. And there's, like there are games for VR that people are having a lot of fun with. So I'm guessing that, like, it's a technology, like, while it's not, like, you know, a perfect simulation of reality, people do like them. I saw a guy who uses his VR headset to have like a 5-monitor setup on his computer, where he just uses his VR headset to do like his normal computer work. And I'm like, that's interesting. Any thoughts of de-radicalizing and radicalizing games? Final Fantasy X took religion out of my head and allowed me to focus more on human lives. That's cool. Do I have any thoughts on that? I mean, it's cool that they can do it because, like, games are such, like, a active medium, right? Like, you're participating in it, and it gives you, like, a sort of visceral attachment that passive media doesn't. And so, if you can have, like, really good, like, de-radicalization or radicalizing themes within it, you'll like kind of learn that lesson more intuitively than just like watching it on a thing. Even if the military is rescinded, the trans man could feel like they have employment security in the U.S. military again. Like, how do you know the next administration will kick them out again? Yeah. I mean, I would not be surprised. Like that is a legit concern. The other thing is that maybe they'll make a new. The wild card, by the way, on PDXCon is making the next Paradox game, like making a new property. And there was, now this is like a real outsider, but man, there's only one game that would get me more excited than Victoria 3, and that is if they made there was a canceled product a few years ago where they were making a Cold War sequel to or Cold War game out of the engine of Hearts of Iron. And if they were to make a Cold War grand strategy game, I think that would be fucking amazing. But the project got canceled at some point, and so it would be kind of cool to see if Paradox would make a grand strategy game that takes place in the Cold War era. That would be pretty neat. I would like to see a Paradox game that takes place in a period where borders don't change as much, and it's more about spheres of influence and diplomacy and smaller proxy wars than it would be about like just painting the map your color. I have a feeling that like if you made like a Cold War Paradox game that was about trying to maneuver yourself into a greater diplomatic position, having a sphere of influence for your faction that involved war, but it was like smaller and more managed things, and wasn't just map painting game. That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty interesting to see what they do with it. Because, yeah, if you try to, like, balloon, if you try to start, like, a real... Like, the whole thing is about trying to prevent nuclear war, and I think that would be pretty cool. Trying to get as far ahead as possible and also prevent nuclear war. That would be a very... I think that would make for an interesting challenge you could do in a Crusader... Or a CrossFit system type thing. So, like, DEF CON. Yeah. That's a board game I need to play. DEF CON feels like a board game that... Or DEF CON is the video game or the board game? Because, I'm thinking of Twilight Struggle, the board game, which I've seen a bunch of times, but I've never had friends that were up for playing it. But, the thing is about, about these games, right, is that, like, a lot of Paradox games have focuses. Like, CK2/CK3... was the story simulator, right? Like you have your characters and they have the traits and the events and like you like almost role play it out. EU4 is the game of empire building and conquest and resource management. And then Hearts of Iron is the hard military game where it's all about the war, it's all about the tactics and strategy. And so I would like the one where they put all of the effort into the diplomacy and influence part of the game. The GWOT version of Twilight Struggle is also pretty good. What's GWOT? There's a video game version of Twilight Struggle on Steam. What's GWOT, though? By the way, thank you for the bits. Reswafe underscore KS. Okay. Global War on Terror. They call it Labyrinth. You play it the first 10 years after 9/11. Oh, that's cool. I would play that one a lot. I'd be very curious about the mechanics of that one. Do you think Starmer will be Labour leader in 2024? If yes, does he have a snowball's chance of winning? If yes, it's not yes, but let's go for the sake of argument. Would that even be desirable given that it would revalidate neoliberal Blairism? I mean, I don't think he has a chance of winning, really. I mean, maybe, but like, the Labour Party is going to not have strong... I don't know. I don't know where UK politics are going. I think that it's starting to sink in just how much things are different after Brexit, that it's not going to go back to normal. And UK politics can change quite a bit. Next month, Scotland's having its election, and that's going to have like huge impacts on the future of the country. So I don't even know. Do you think he'll still be around in 2024? I have no fucking clue. I don't know. I know so little about British politics that I have no idea what his position's like right now. I don't know anything about British politics. It's all the way on the other side of the world. It's like I don't know anything about Australian politics or New Zealand politics, really. Let's see what we got. What else can you use? Toronto or Ontario cabinet issuing stay-at-home order, or considering issuing a stay-at-home order. That's good. Star Trek confirms future of Lower Decks show. Yeah, I did see that. That Lower Decks is getting a season 2 is coming in. What's it called? Season 2 is coming in August, and they greenlit a season 3. That's good. I like that show. Is Step Back a dirty Canuck? Yes, I am. Aren't they having a referendum for an independence referendum? Yeah, more or less. That is a thing I know about British politics. It's basically like Nicola Sturgeon's like betting everything on another independence referendum. Do you think there's a reasonable chance of a decently sized, stable, anarchist-controlled area in the next 20 years anywhere? I mean, there are some now. I think that Rojava could still be around in 20 years. I think that the Zapatistas could still be around in 20 years. So, yeah, I think that there's something. That's to be done. For London, Ontario, or Toronto? I prefer Toronto to, like, hang out in. There's more stuff to do. I like that, you know, everything was in reach. But honestly, I like living in London more. I like that, you know, I bought a house and it didn't destroy my life. It wasn't $1 million. And I like that, you know, that things are cheaper and, you know, it's a nice place to just be. Like, I can be in a... Look, I live in a house where I have my own office. I couldn't have done that in Toronto. Plus, isn't labor having some... Isn't labor having some problem? Like, labor, like... isn't there some, like, Northern Independence Party that's, like, starting to really take off? What's that all about? Could the future possibly be worse than you predicted? When you said you're probably wrong with the future, that was my first thought. I mean, the fact is that, you know, if I'm probably wrong about the future, then that means that my assessment of it is obviously incorrect, right? So it's kind of hard to be like, what are the chances that you're wrong about this? It's like, I don't know. I got my house for under its asking price, is the thing. We got very lucky, and we got in like right before prices started going bananas. So, I got very lucky. Who's the hottest female character in the video game history? I don't know. I don't really have like video game character crushes, really. I'm not really like attracted to cartoon characters or anything. I don't understand people who do, but thank you for the super chat. You could go with who's that librarian character from Final Fantasy VIII? I don't remember. It's been a long time. Quistis. Oh yeah, that was her name, Quistis. So, suppose primitive humans and non-avian dinosaurs really did live alongside each other like in the Flintstones or 1 million BC. Do you think humans would wipe out megafaunal dinosaurs? I can't think of a plausible way to set this up. Imagine a mad scientist captures 2,500. Man, you're really like creating these super arbitrary situations and then asking for a very serious response as to how it would go down. That's the 255 guarantee. Is doom questions and extremely convoluted scenarios. Assuming they manage to survive, breed, and eventually spread out, what do you think the presence of humans would mean for larger dinosaurs? I mean, yeah, just like we did with the Pleistocene megafauna, we'd probably wipe them out too. We'd probably hunt them into extinction. Dinosaurs were very dumb and very big and very slow, so we probably would have killed them. The Northumbria independence part will probably be of small significance unless there's big changes. Okay. You like women with whips is what I'm getting from this. Well, no, not really, but okay. She did have a whip, didn't she? That was her thing. I don't know. It has been probably 20 years since I have played Final Fantasy VIII, so I can't remember. I remember liking it quite a bit, but... I read a sci-fi story where an alien is trying to figure out how to translate Russian into his alien language. Marx and Lenin come up, and the alien tries to get the Soviet government official he's talking to explain who they are. He does, and the alien turns to his computer and says Marx and Lenin are gods and prophets of the USSR. Is that fair criticism? I mean, it depends upon who you were talking to. There were a lot of different people who had very different ideas about what is, what is the thing. Like what's it called? I just wrote a whole Cold War script about Khrushchev and how Khrushchev had like some serious issues with Orthodox Marxism, and it got him in a lot of trouble. So I mean, like there are some people who would have said that, but then there's some people who would have like. There was a very wide variety of different interpretations about what socialism should be in the Soviet Union. It was Molotov. Oh gosh, I don't remember much about Molotov's positions on things. My guess is that I couldn't even tell you. I don't know much about Molotov at all. Khrushchev was the one after Stalin, right? Yep. Yeah, he's the one who took power after Stalin died. I love the videos. Just saw the video on why Canada is not part of America. Yeah, I think that's like my most viewed video, and it's not even on my channel. I made it for I wrote the script and did the voice for Soliloquy. And man, that's really old, and it went super duper viral, and it got me like I think I got my first 1,000 subscribers from that video. It was a long time ago, though. Welsh Independence Party is probably a more serious one to watch. Maybe. We'll see. Fate of the World. Isn't that you talking about the card game that they had? That I remember playing that once. It's like a climate change card game. This was World War, by the way. I don't know why I didn't say in the question. I don't know. Isn't the other thing, isn't it in World War? Aren't all the aliens in World War like very, like they think of everything through dogmatism and like strict adherence to doctrine and orthodoxy, and maybe that's why they interpreted it that way. Like, I don't know. Like I seem to recall like they had to have some convoluted reason why aliens, or why the reptile aliens couldn't conceive that humans would develop their technology so fast, and so they made it so that they're like this extremely conservative society that makes technological advancements at a very slow pace. But technically wasn't it Malenkov then Khrushchev? Yeah, I think so. It was a bit of a politically dicey situation in 1954. Suppose the GOP run Trump again and he loses again. Do you think the GOP base would insist on sticking with him at that point? I don't know. I think that false prophecies don't necessarily hurt people's faith. And the people who are still like, dead enders for Trump are not necessarily doing so because of their, because they think that it's a winning horse or whatever. I honestly, wouldn't be surprised if, the person who is going to be the Republican candidate for president in 2024 is probably going to be somebody that we're not even thinking about right now. Or if it is someone we know, it's going to be someone who's already stationing themselves to be ready, like Ted Cruz or something. And I think Ted Cruz could beat Joe Biden. It will be a fucking terrible election, and I'll hate every minute of it because, that's my dark prophecy. Could a fully aquatic frog repurpose their lungs into swim bladders and become a fish like if true fish went extinct? I mean, I don't know anything about animals or evolution. I didn't go to science school. I'm a historian. Go ask a biologist. But my guess is that they could. They can repurpose anything into anything. That's biology, right? Isn't like this part of our face, like, didn't this part of our face, the muscles that became like this part of our face come from gills or something? I don't know. Remember when that alien stole Neelix's lungs? Should Janeway have forcibly removed the lungs from his body and given them back to Neelix? I feel like when you go around space stealing people's organs and sticking them in yourself, you shouldn't be able to use your right to bodily autonomy to protect yourself. I mean, sure, but also, like, that was defeating the, like, the moral question of the episode that they were trying to go for. They were trying to make an interesting question so that it could be a moral dilemma. It wasn't, like, the best written episode ever, but that's what they were trying to do. Have you ever wanted to see what the world would be like if we weren't... Oh, I already answered that. Okay. So that's that. Amphibians are dying even faster than fish, and even if that would happen, it would never be able to replace fish and be very different. It's true. Amphibians are very sensitive creatures. It's actually like they're dying pretty... Our pollution is killing them at a pretty intense rate. Then again, there might not be fish in 2050. So, like, the ocean's going to be made up of, like, jellyfish and stuff, I think, is, like, what we were saying. That's the only type of, like, marine species that have been thriving under climate change have been jellyfish. Yeah, Republicans, you're talking about Republicans, talking about Ted. Yeah, there's going to be like a whole bunch of people trying to step in during the Republican primaries to try to claim to be the next Trump. And if Trump doesn't run again, if Trump doesn't try to run again, then everyone's going to be trying to be the next Trump and win over that thing. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. You're going to hate it. Do you have any thoughts on Representative Matt Gaetz' controversy of being a piece of shit sexual predator and a likely pedophile? I mean... You pretty much said it. He's a piece of shit sexual predator and a likely pedophile. So, what more is there to say? What do you think the definition of fascism, that it is imperialism turned inward? I don't think the best definition, but it's just interesting perspective for it to view from. Yeah, I don't know. Like, fascism seems to be like this thing that we're completely unable to identify properly. We're just awful at labeling it in any coherent fashion. That seems to be the only central theme of the universe. But I feel like fascism, you have to have the crises of capitalism of the Depression era mixed with the rising of nationalism. Like, you need those kind of parts to be part of understanding fascism. Fascism isn't just an authoritarian government that I don't like. There is like a kind of palingenic ultranationalism, like this idea that we used to be great, but now we're not, and we have to bring the greatness back by becoming a dictatorship that resonates with this imagined past of who we used to be, and this is like the restoration of bringing back the great dictator and all that kind of stuff like that. That's fascism. And yeah. You said UBI is probably inevitable, but I don't see how the GOP would ever stand for it, even in a super watered down form. Yeah. I don't think the GOP will be the ones who pass it in America. It'll probably be some Democratic thing. You know, if you don't have whenever the Democrats have a president that's not, Whenever they have a president that's not just like going through the pleasant visions that one guy, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen Soylent Green, but like when people get euthanized, they like go on this wonderful little dopamine trip as they're taken through these beautiful vistas as they're slowly slowly killed. And it's like, Joe Biden, it's like Joe Biden's brain right now. He's just like rotting alive and like just seeing random visions as, the last DMT bursts come out of his brain as it dies. When they have a president that's not that, then maybe they'll make some changes. Do you think there will be Democratic presidents after Biden? Probably. The next Republican president will fuck things up real bad, and it'll result in another Democrat getting elected. Such is the nature of American history. The GOP would collapse if the U.S. managed to remove gerrymandering. I mean, it would. Its grip on the House would be basically gone. Because, like, Americans support Democrats in much bigger numbers than Republicans, but the problem is gerrymandering gives them a lot more seats. So, I have a nice plush Karl Marx. Does that make me a tanky? Do you have one too? I don't have one. I do have a finger puppet of Noam Chomsky though, so I'm fine. I don't blame you. How are we on time? Oh my, we only have 2 minutes left. Okay. Let's, I guess we are coming near the end of the stream, so let's find somebody to raid, and I will call it a week, and I'll be back on Monday. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out. Who is this? Oh. Okay. Let's raid X-Lakes. Why not? And everybody, you know what I'm going to say. Be kind to yourself and each other. Sorry for me being a bummer today, but politics sucks these days. Hopefully I'll be better tomorrow. Maybe I'll be in a better mood next week. I don't know. Anyways, be good, be kind, take some time for yourself, and recharge and keep fighting, because there's only one way to. There's not a ton of ways to win, but there's a lot of ways to lose. So we got to keep trying. Anyways, have a good night, everybody.